People need to realize that you're not building a course, you're building a course business first and foremost. So they have to change their mindset. A lot of people just go into it thinking they're going to create a course and they're just going to sell it. That doesn't work. You have to create the course business, right?
It's easy to hear things like this, and obviously AI does make it easier, but I do think it's hard. It's easy for people to hear that, oh, I'll just quickly throw this thing together and someone will pay me $1,000 for it. But I think that the reality is there's a lot of work into the creation of that course.
You build a business, you build a course. Once the course is done, it's done.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Justin Allen Montgomery. He's the founder of ProCourse Start and a proven expert in turning professional expertise into scalable, high-margin, continuing education businesses. Justin, there's a bit here about your background in bio, but I as I said, I'm going to let you tell your story. But first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show today and talk to us and let us learn more about you and what you're up to. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here, man. So I'm a nurse practitioner by training. A lot of people might not know what a nurse practitioner is, but it's basically, you have registered nurse, then nurse practitioner is like one step below doctor. So it's kind of the same as a physician's assistant. So I can prescribe, I can do, procedures, things like that. So I was a nurse practitioner, or I still am a nurse practitioner by training. I don't practice much anymore though, but, graduated NP school in 2013, worked in emergency departments, urgent cares, all kinds of different places. And 2019, I decided that I wanted to see if I could start a business leveraging my knowledge. And so prior to that, I started some medical practices. So I started some men's health clinics, a medical cannabis clinic, an online hormone replacement therapy clinic that I eventually sold. And I realized that people were reaching out to me, asking me, how do I start a practice? How do I start my own practice? How do I do what you did? And I started realizing that, wow, people they don't know how to do this. And I know how to do it like the back of my hand. And so I started mentoring and consulting with people. And I started kind of getting sick of just one-on-one consulting. And so I wanted to do, instead of doing one-on-one, I wanted to do one on 1,000. I wanted to teach people the same information I would do on a consult in like a course. And so I started the Elite Nurse Practitioner in 2019, launched my first course in March of 2020, where I teach nurse practitioners I taught nurse practitioners how to start a men's health clinic. That was my course, how to start a men's health clinic. And I did like $50,000 in 7 days. And the light bulb just went off in my head. I was like, I'm onto something here. Like that's real money. And it was all passive. It was just selling. I was like, man, this thing just requires no work on my end after the product development. And so from there, I was like, I'm going to go all in on this. And so I basically developed a new course every single month for years. And, it's all said and done, 40 something plus courses at this point. And, year number one, we did like $700,000 in revenue with 80% margin. And it was just me. I had no employees. I had no one. It was just me. So 80%, I was able to pay my house off. I was able to pay my house off in the first year. I was like, whoa. And, year number two is when I really hit it hard. And that year was well over $1 million. It was close to 2 million in revenue, again, with 80% margin. And I was the only person. I was the only employee. I had no virtual assistants. I had no one outside of a few contractors helped me do some edits and stuff like that. And then year number three, that's when we really hit the high mark. And then ever since then, it's basically been an 8-figure business. And it allowed me to retire by the age of 39, essentially. I'm 41 now. And so I kind of just piddle around now. I kind of just do whatever I want to do. I wake up when I want to wake up and kind of just do what I want to do. It's pretty nice. And so I recently started ProCourse Start. I kind of just got sick of mentoring and consulting with people on how to build a medical practice. Scaling a medical practice to 7 figures is extremely difficult to do. And so I wanted to mentor and consult with people to help them build 7, 8-figure course businesses, because that's my true expertise at this point. I want to help people do that. And so I started ProCourse Start, and that's kind of what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to cover here, I think, or a lot to unpack, but there's a shift maybe in education, and it's interesting then to tie it into the, I guess, medical space, right? Because it's not, I'm not sure if you know this or not. I'm a veterinary surgeon, so I went to school for a long time, have a medical background as well. I kind of understand that there are certain things, certain career paths. Medicine is one of them, of course. I think, being an airline pilot, certain things where it's like you really can't learn that from a YouTube course or whatever. There's certain spaces where probably that's maybe the shift won't happen. But I do think a lot of education is shifting to things like you're describing, courses, people that might be mentoring people in a lot of ways. So your course for nurse practitioners, and I don't know, as a nurse practitioner, are you able to own the practice yourself? Are there any restrictions around that? Yeah. So
Yeah.
So then the initial course was basically to help people build those businesses.
Correct. Right. So I would teach people how to start certain kinds of niche practices. So a men's health clinic, a weight loss clinic, a primary care practice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so what made us unique, though, was that we would provide the business education on how to actually start the practice, but we would also teach the clinical knowledge of what you need to know for that practice. So like weight loss, for example, 20% of the course was just how to start the weight loss clinic. The other 80% was weight loss medicine, the actual clinical component of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what made us unique. We combined both together and we sold it for a reasonable price. I mean, you're a surgeon. You're obviously not going to learn surgical procedures, with an online course. You're not going to do that. So this is more knowledge-based kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess that's kind of where I was going with that, is that I would assume that the nurse practitioners still have to go to school and become a nurse practitioner, and then you're teaching them the business side of things and the specifics along the clinical path within that, I guess, whatever niche they decide to open as their business. Is that kind of understanding that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So, with a continuing education course business, you're basically targeting people who are already that profession, right? Mm-hmm. Starting a school where you actually have to become like accredited to provide a diploma and do that kind of stuff, that's beyond my scope. I mean, that sounds like an absolute nightmare headache to me personally, Yeah. This is continuing education for established professionals. And it could be any kind of professional, it can be anything from a nurse to an accountant to a lawyer to a veterinarian to, I mean, realtors, like really anyone who's a profession, you can create this kind of business for and teach them what leverage your knowledge. That's pretty much all I did. And it allowed me to, like I said, it allowed me to become financially independent at a pretty young age.
Yeah. And now you're teaching other people how to create courses. And is that sort of industry agnostic? You're basically just applying those principles in whatever space they might want to create a course in.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much industry agnostic because the process is the same. The only difference is the actual content of the course and who you're going to target. That's really the only thing that's different here. Otherwise, a CE business is a CE business, a continuing education course business. It doesn't matter who you are, a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor. It makes no difference. The actual foundation and the principles are all the same. And so like right now, I do some one-on-one mentorship, high ticket mentorship with people. And I have a psychologist right now. I have a physical therapist right now. Have a realtor right now as clients. And it's all the same process. It's basically creating the business itself and then learning how and knowing how to promote it. That's the hard part, is actually marketing it.
Are you planning a remodel or construction project? Overwhelmed by the process? Over budget? Extended timelines? Strained relationships? We are all too familiar. At Lark Construction Services, we help homeowners and business owners take control of their construction journey from reviewing bids and contracts to catching red flags before they become costly mistakes. Our Clarity Audit is a one-on-one expert review of your plans, estimates, or current progress, giving you the peace of mind and a defined action plan to move forward with confidence. Don't let confusion lead to costly errors. Visit larkconstruction.com and schedule your free call today. Lark Construction Services, saving you time, money, and stress.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a needed, I think, in the space. I mean, we all of this kind of keeps in my mind is tying back to the veterinary world, and it's, most veterinarians, they're really, really good at taking care of animals. They love that side of the business. They're, great with clients. Most of them are not business people. Most of them don't have a real any background in running a business, even though they might be a practice owner. Most of them have little to no marketing at all, and don't really want to be involved in that. So I think that's it's an applicable spot as we're having this conversation that I sort of think about it. So it's very, very interesting. When you, I guess, obviously people, if they want the details of some of this, they take the course, but I'm curious where you sort of start with people. If you bring on someone who, someone comes to you to create a course, do you help them with deciding what the right, avenue to go in? Like what does that sort of look like if you were to bring on a client?
Yeah. So the first thing we do is we have a 4-hour strategic call, like break it out over 2 days, basically two 2-hour strategic calls. And that is building the entire strategy of the business. Everything from developing your idea, your value proposition, to creating step-by-step plan, what we're going to do over the next 3 months kind of a thing. And so step number one is we got to identify what is it that you are good at? What do you know like the back of your hand? Mm-hmm. You don't want to create a continuing education course business and have to rediscover what you're going to teach, look up and research a bunch of stuff that you don't know about and teach it. You can't do that because you're not an expert. You're teaching yourself before you teach other people. So the first step is to identify what is it that you know? What is it that you are good at? And most people really don't know that until they are asked, until they start actually kind of going down that rabbit hole. It's like therapy to identify a past trauma or something. You don't even know you even have it until you start going down that path, right? And so that's kind of what we do is we try to figure out what is it that you're good at, and now how can we leverage that and turn that into an actual business? How can we turn that into a solution to a real problem that people within a certain space are facing? And it's interesting that there are a lot of problems that a lot of professionals are facing, and no one talks about it, or if they do, it's just all online. No one's really doing anything about it. And if you can find that problem and then you can use your actual skills and knowledge to develop a solution to that, you're going to have customers. And then, it's all about that. It's identifying that value proposition. What specific problem am I going to fix with a specific solution for a specific group of people? I kind of create this principle with ProCourse Start, the 1% rule. You only need 1% of a profession to have $1 million course business. If your profession is, let's just say for easy math, if your profession is 100,000 people, you only need 1% of those people to buy your course to have $1 million course business. You do not need millions of customers, thousands and thousands of customers. You just don't. If you actually provide real value and a real solution, you can have 1,000 customers and charge $1,000 for your course. Boom, you have $1 million business. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I want to maybe understand. So you build the course. The course is essentially a standalone product, right? So someone would say, they go to a website, they and I guess I'm talking about the courses that you help people create, the concept of what you're trying to build for people. The idea is you're creating something that sort of lives on a website, and someone can come along and say, yeah, I'll pay my whatever it is, $1,000 for this course. And that's it. Like, all you have to do is create the content within that course. Or is it also a lead magnet to, high ticket consulting? How do you see it kind of play out for people? You said you were making new courses monthly. Is kind of that where you see people going, or maybe it's different? I guess, is it meant to just be something that sits there and becomes this passive revenue generator on the side? How do you see it fitting into people's lives, I guess?
Yeah, so you can go about it multiple ways. I usually, when I consult and mentor with people to do this, continue working. You're not going all in on this. This is a very part-time business. You can continue working full-time. I did. I was working full-time all the way up to 2022. I mean, I had $1 million business and I was still working full-time. And light bulb went off in my head. I was like, why the hell am I still working? Why am I doing this? And so you can continue to work and then do this as a part-time kind of a thing. And so it really depends on what your goals are. There's multiple ways to go about this. You can develop evergreen products, which means it's a pre-recorded course that's on demand that people can buy 24/7, access it whenever they want, and they just take it. It's basically, you create videos, PowerPoint slides, etc. You package it all up, and it's just chapters and modules, and they just go through it on their own, on their own schedule, basically. You can go that route. Or if you wanted to, some people like to be a little bit more active in it. Some people actually enjoy more of like a classroom setting. And so they do more of like a webinar based kind of a thing, or they have like a group session as an example. They would bring on 20 students who would pay $1,000 a piece, and it'd be over an 8-week period of time where you spend 2 or 3 hours a week having, a live classroom kind of a setting. You can do that if that's what you enjoy. You could do both. I mean, you could do both if you want to. But it could be a lead magnet, like you mentioned, like with ProCourse Start, for example. I have the ProCourse Start Blueprint, which is a 15-hour course on how to start a CE business from start to finish and how to create it in a way where you can scale it and sell it to private equity. Like, I go from start to all the way to selling the business. All right. It's 15 hours. It's on demand. You can take it. Now, it is a lead magnet. It can be a lead magnet to a higher ticket mentorship with me if you want to, right? So it really depends on how you want to set it up. You can do that. You can have it as a lead magnet to other products. The goal, though, is to have this be as passive as possible, because a passive business is a business that's scalable. It's very hard to scale a business that is extremely active in nature. It's extremely hard to do that. If it requires your time and your work, it's hard to scale because you are limited on your time. Like, you only have so much time in a week, right? You only have so much energy. And so with a business that has pre-recorded products, it's very passive in nature, and that is a business that you can scale. You can grow that very, very quickly. And so my goal with ProCourse Start is when I do mentor people, that's what I try to do. We try to create a product, a business that works for you, not a business that you have to work for. Most veterinarians, they're self-employed. They're not really entrepreneurs. Same with doctors and chiropractors and lawyers and accountants. They're not really entrepreneurs. They're self-employed. They end up becoming a slave to their business. There's no difference between working for someone other than you get some more upside, right? So you want a business that works for you. And that's kind of the goal of starting one of these things.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very, it's funny. It's a thing that's becoming more prevalent, but I think also, as you mentioned, knowing what your value proposition is, what your, what do you know so well that someone would actually pay to hear you talk about it, basically, I guess is kind of the concept. And you said yours is 15 hours. Do you think, I mean, I'm sure it takes longer than that for someone to build their own course, even using your, roughly maybe, what do you think is the time frame that it would take for someone to build a course for, in that, I guess, in the image of what you're helping people create?
Yeah, it's a good question. First, people need to realize that you're not building a course, you're building a course business first and foremost. So they have to change their mindset. A lot of people just go into it thinking they're going to create a course and they're just going to sell it. That doesn't work. You have to create the course business, right? Creating the course is the easy part. Creating the course business is what's difficult. And so creating the course business itself, if you can dedicate 10 hours a week to it, you can have it up and running within 8 to 12 weeks, because it's not that hard of a thing to do. It's really not. It's a pretty simple business to build. So it will take about 8 to 12 weeks to build the continuing education course business with the first course. Because nowadays you can utilize so many AI tools to assist you with building the course out that
Right.
you can build a course out pretty fast. When I first built my courses out in 2020, 2021, AI wasn't really a thing. And so I built them all out myself. It would take 40 to 80 hours to build a course. Now with AI, you can build these things out in 4 to 6 hours. It's pretty crazy. As long as you know what to prompt it with and give it some information and stuff, you can build these things out pretty quick. So, when I have clients, I'm helping a client right now build a certain medical academy, and her flagship course is going to be about 12 hours long, recorded. And she was able to build out the entire slide deck in about 8 hours. And that's crazy. Now, and then she has to record it. You know what I mean? That's the long part. Recording it is what the difficult part is. Yeah. So yeah, I would say just, answer your question, 8 to 12 weeks, 10 hours a week. 10 hours of focused work, not just 10 hours of scrolling on Instagram in between doing stuff, like 10 hours of focused work. Yeah.
Well, and I thank you. I wanted to maybe I think it's easy to hear things like this, and obviously AI does make it easier, but I do think it's hard. It's easy for people to hear that, oh, I'll just, quickly throw this thing together and someone will pay me $1,000 for it. But I think that the reality is that there, as you mentioned, you're building a course business. There's a lot of work into the creation of that course. When you say that, though, when you say course business, I'm kind of inferring that means it's not just, hey, I made the course, I'm done. How do you maintain that course business once you've already created the course?
Yeah. So you build a business and you build a course. Once the course is done, it's done. That's the beautiful thing about this. Once the product is developed, it's done. You only have to update it every once in a while and create a new product every 3 or 4 years. That's the beautiful thing about this. Maintaining the course business, it takes about 10 hours a week. And it ultimately depends how busy it is. It depends how many customers you have, how many customer service issues might come up, that sort of a thing. But you can do this all on your own for the first year with about 10 hours of work a week. And those 10 hours are going to be used for developing content. You got to promote the business. And the way you promote it is through consistent content. 2 articles a week. 1 video a week. You basically have to continuously provide content. It establishes your authority. It establishes your credibility. It builds trust with your audience. And it's for marketing purposes as well. It basically helps extend your reach. Right. So you have to do that. So for me, for example, I spend 1 or 2 hours a week just producing content. That's it. 1 or 2 hours. That's it. And I do the editing myself. I record it on Riverside and I just edit it myself. It's super easy stuff to do, or I write an article. I typically like to write my articles. I don't like ChatGPT to just pump out stuff. It's generic and sounds like crap. So for that 10 hours, it's going to be mostly handling customer service issues, technical support stuff, developing content. That's really about all you're doing. And the technical support stuff is like, oh, I can't log into my course. They forgot their password or something like that. It's something dumb, And so that's pretty much it. It takes about 10 hours to keep the thing operational, even less if you use some automations or if you hire some contractors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. Do you suggest to people that there should be they should be updating the course? They should be doing sort of an ongoing refresh of that course, or is just kind of, oh, I'll make this thing and here it is. It's good for because I mean, the world changes, right? So I imagine at some point you need to update a few things, but I'm interested to see, like in your experience, how often that type of refresh needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. It depends on what you're teaching. Starting with the elite nurse practitioner, for example, starting a practice, nothing has really changed in the last 5 years. I mean, starting a practice is starting a practice. So I don't really have to update that. For example, we have a weight loss course. And when the weight loss course was developed, it was before GLP-1s. It was before semaglutide and Mounjaro and these big weight loss meds. Yeah. So we had to update it for that. I mean, obviously, it was, we have to include that into it. So sometimes the updates are something that you are kind of just forced to do based off of market conditions and whatnot. Otherwise, though, it really depends on if you are providing actual continuing education credits or hours or not. If you are not providing continuing education credits or hours, you are not obligated to update that course at all, unless it's just an as needed thing, right? If you are providing continuing education credits or hours, official hours, let's say you become accredited, then typically the rules around that for most accreditation bodies, veterinarian or doctors or accountants or whatever, but like on average, it's about 2 years. Every 2 years, you do have to provide an update on the course. And then every 4 or 5 years, it has to be a completely new course. So it really just depends on, are you offering CE or not? And you can build $1 million business and not offer CE. I didn't offer CE for 2.5 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you actually answered probably my other question was, are any of these, you've come from the medical space, do any of these courses, can you get them to be, sort of accredited for CE credits for people? So it sounds like yes. So I would assume that's a little bit more, maybe, I guess, administrative burden on the front end, at least.
Yeah, I would say that is one of the biggest, first off, it's one of the biggest barriers to entry. People think it's complicated. They think it's going to be some headache. It's going to be some nightmare. It's going to take forever and cost that, tens of thousands of dollars to do. And it's a myth. It's not the reality of it. Becoming accredited is actually pretty easy. It's mostly pay to play. I hate to say that, but I've been in this space now for a few years, and I've mentored lots of people in different fields, and it ultimately comes down to pay to play. You pay these accrediting bodies what they want, their application fees and et cetera, et cetera. If you pay them, they want you to be accredited because they want to continue to charge you their membership accreditation fees every year. Mm-hmm. So it is in their best interest to accredit you, because that's how they make money. All these accreditation organizations are for profit, even though they say they aren't. They are. They're there to make money. And so they want you to become accredited. So they will make it as easy as possible, and they will guide you through the process of the accreditation. All you have to do is show up and just do what they say that you got to do. So it's really not that hard to become accredited. And so it is an administrative burden as you get started. The way I go about this is that when I have clients, my suggestion usually is to skip the accreditation at first and just get your course out there and see what the reception is. See what people are saying. If you continue, like if you're getting lots of questions, does this offer CE? Does this offer CME? Does this offer continuing education? If you're getting a lot of those questions, then you probably need to go ahead and offer it. But if you are actually providing real value, and if you are actually solving real problems, most professionals won't care if there's continuing education attached to it or not. I was solving a real problem for nurse practitioners: lack of autonomy and salary caps and, being a slave within the healthcare, machine, basically. I was solving a real problem. I was giving them a way to get out of that. They didn't care if there was CE attached to it or not. I have other clients who are solving real problems and they don't offer CE, and they have, high 6-figure course businesses, 7-figure businesses,
Right.
because they're solving a real problem. So there's 2 models with a CE business. The first model is the value lies in the actual continuing education. So I'm sure you're guilty of this, and I'm guilty of this. You need 5 more continuing education credits or hours to renew your license, and you're scrambling. You need 5 hours. You're just going to go find some BS course that you can take and click next, and get through it so you can get your 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
Most professionals are guilty of that. The value in that course that you bought was in the CE. You didn't care about the information. You could care less what they were teaching. You just didn't care. I just needed those 5 CE hours. That model works, and it can be very, very profitable. And then the other model is the value lies in the actual information and knowledge that you're teaching. And that's the model that I like to promote. And that's what I like to teach, my clients, because that's the model that can really scale very quickly and turn into a business where you only need 1,000 or 2,000 customers to have $1 million business. That's the model that you want to go for. Now you can produce the CE business where the value lies in CE. Those courses don't sell for $1,000. Those courses sell for $50, $100. Mm-hmm. You have to have just sheer volume of customers to make good money. Whereas if the value lies in the information and the knowledge, you only need 1,000 customers to have $1 million business, because you're selling it for $1,000 because people want to know that knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great explanation. And I think, well, I'm sure that's, part of what you talk with your clients about is like, where do you want to go with this? What do you think the audience is? That kind of thing. So no, I think it's a really great strategy, and good to have someone like yourself for people to go to as a resource. If they want to create a course, they feel like they have something of value to share. It makes a whole lot of sense. So, very cool. Justin, let me switch gears here. I want to ask you the questions I ask every guest. The first one is just related to the name of the show being Know Your Why. So, you've had a ton of success. I know that becoming a nurse practitioner is no easy task in and of itself. You've been able to then retire yourself through multiple very successful businesses. So, kind of what's keeping you motivated now? What's your why to keep on pushing and not just sit at home and rest on what you've already done?
Yeah, I did the whole sitting around not doing much for about a year. About 40. I'm 41. I turned 41 in June, and a little bit of the age 39 and 40. I kind of just step back and really didn't do much. And it drove me insane. I mean, I'd wake up and have absolutely no direction whatsoever. I would just wake up and, what am I going to do today? Well, that sounds nice, guys. If you're a higher achiever kind of person, type A personality, someone who cannot sit still, it will drive you nuts unless you actually have something to retire into, Right. I retired into fishing. You know what? You can only do so much fishing. I can only play so much golf. You know what I mean? Simply just your body just can't I'm 41 years old. I can't go play a round of golf every day. I just can't do it. My back kills me, And so I guess what's keeping me motivated now is that I actually truly enjoy consulting and mentoring people. I really do. I find an enormous amount of pleasure and fulfillment helping someone get to the point where I'm at. Like, I like doing that. I like helping people build businesses. I've discovered that I don't necessarily like operating businesses. I like starting businesses. And I don't want to start businesses personally anymore. I just don't. I don't want to deal with the headaches, but I would rather help someone start their business. And in a way, it's me starting a business through them. And so, like I usually tell my clients, is that I'm a strategic partner with you for the next 3 months. Your business is my business right now. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I would be doing in this situation. And I love to see the results. I had a client back in April, and he started an academy within a very niche clinical space. and I helped him in April, May, so when we started working together, and he released his product. He really put the pedal to the ground with this. He worked his ass off, and he was able to get the thing released in about a month. And he followed all my advice. He did everything I told him to do. And the first month he generated a few $100,000 in sales. And I saw that. He made more money. Fast forward now, he's made over $500,000. He's made more money than most NPs will make in 3 or 4 years of working. And he did it in 4 or 5 months. And I love to see that because it allowed him to pay his house off, pay off all of his debt. Like, it's helping his family build, a life that they want to live, that they are independent without those restraints. So I guess that's my why. I like helping people. I like seeing the progress and seeing not only them change, but it's a positive change for their family.
Yeah. I think I completely agree with you that, the entrepreneur, high achieving, however you want to, I guess title it, but most people don't really want to just sit around forever. I don't really think that that's like actually that appeal. You might want to sit around for a couple weeks or months or even a year, but like if you're 40, like retiring, it's retiring to that, kind of sit on your couch life. I think honestly, almost no people would actually enjoy that. Even the people that think they hate their job, if all they had to do was sit around, I think you just don't. Our bodies and minds are meant to be challenged in some way. So it's like, you look for that next thing. And with regards to, kind of seeing others have success, that was, I think when you get to a certain point in whatever career it might be, and I felt that way within surgery, where one of the things, there's not a lot more for me to learn about surgery, but when I get to teach it to other people, it feels really good to see their progress and see them become successful and have, that starting point of where, hey, you don't even know how to hold a drill right now. And then to the point where they're, fixing complex fractures, that kind of stuff is just very, very cool, I think, to see. And so I completely, it resonates with me what you're saying, in that, you've reached the pinnacle of success essentially in that space. And so it's like, well, what can I do now that still shows growth? And that is watching other people do it. And I think that's a super cool position to be in. So with that in mind, when people hear this and they want to reach out to you, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, they can just go to www.ProCourseStart.com. You can email me directly, Justin@ProCourseStart.com. Facebook ProCourse Start, Instagram ProCourse Start 25. I did have a LinkedIn, but they keep banning me. I've given them my ID 4 times now, and it's just like, okay, you know what? Your algorithm doesn't like me. I don't know what the deal is, so I don't have a LinkedIn. Yeah. I give up. I'm done.
That's I get, at some point, it's not worth fighting though. It's like,
there's no customer service at all. You can't talk to anybody, Right. So, but anyways, ProCourseStart.com. I'll give you a link. I'll shoot you an email with a link that your listeners can go to, and I'll give them a little bit of a discount and stuff on the ProCourse Start Blueprint if they're interested or they want to subscribe to our email list, that kind of a thing. So I'll give you a link you can put in the description. But yeah, you can just message me or just shoot me an email, Justin@ProCourseStart.com. I'm happy to help.
Okay, awesome. We'll definitely put all that in the show notes. Justin, thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks for sharing all this. Really fascinating space that you make it. I know it's not easy, but you make it sound, I think, achievable, and I think you're giving people a structure to actually be able to relay the knowledge that they've worked hard to accumulate. So I think it's a fascinating space to be in. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
No, you're welcome. I think that's it. I think that people don't complicate it. It's not that complicated. Just know what to do and you get it done, and you'll be surprised what you can. You'll be surprised what you can do. You can just put a little time and effort into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks listening, make sure you connect with Justin. We'll have all of his information in the show notes. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get great guests. And thank you so much for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?